It's very difficult to know for sure what the state of affairs are legitimately of any legitimate exopolitical situation. You understand? It's very difficult to know what is actually going on beyond this biosphere, outside of our bubble, essentially, which inside of it, it's getting easier to know. It used to be very difficult to really know what the heck was going on, but now that we have the X platform and, you know, perhaps, you know, Donald Trump back in office and stuff like this, you know, so now, yeah, we've got Grok to help us, and, you know, because we got more people that are truth-seeking, we got truth-seeking AI to help us out, and yeah, generally smart people who are interested in staying ahead of business and staying ahead of their biohacking or their health, their, you know, high performance athletes, they're high performers, you know, achievers. You know, basically what I'm saying is, nowadays people who aren't idiots, they're generally going to take advantage of whatever truth-seeking platforms, AI, you know, search engines, tools, resources that exist that's going to help them enhance their health, you know, find solutions to problems, to health problems that people in their family are having, and help to, you know, stay ahead of the game and business, and yeah, and also with regards to news and global global events, current events. You know, people who follow the news who aren't idiots generally are going to know what is actually going on behind the scenes, and what do you call that? What's the opposite to behind the scenes? You know, like ostensibly, you know, what's going on between, you know, this media group and this group, and you know, and this and that, you know, in the world. They're generally going to have a pretty good idea of what's going on, or what's happening with this conflict over here, and, you know, this negotiation taking place between this historical inequality that happened here, and, I don't know, this genocide over here, and this thing over there. And yeah, people generally have the ability to find out what's going on pretty fast with the tools that are available now. So yeah, that's that pretty much. I think that establishes that establishes some groundwork that we can build on now to be able to approach something more, you know, to be able to approach the question of what's going on outside of the atmosphere or the biosphere, outside of this planet, exopolitically, you know, relative to my personal mission and what Grok and I are working on, and relative to the other okay, let me just perhaps establish a few more things before I get to that part. Add some of this grapefruit juice. It's my favorite. So, yeah, we got we've got Kermit. We got Kermit here with us. So what I'm really hoping is that this thing stays vertical, or is vertical, because sometimes it flips horizontal and it's super annoying. So the reason that we've got Kermit with us here today with the American flag here, it's to I've got a big American flag over there. I've got a American flag bandana and some other bandanas. You know, I could put them up, but anyway, I think this, you know, Kermit right here and his American flag scarf. Hopefully that yeah, because there's certain things that there's a certain standard on this planet that I can align with. I mean, there's certain things going on this planet, certain standards, certain that I can align with and that I can't align with, right? And so to basically set the record straight. It's like this, you know, it's like this, okay? Let's say it in a sort of a spiritual, sort of religious kind of way, right? Like you would hope that the people, you know, whoever wields the greatest lethality on the planet are also the wisest and the most compassionate, okay? The closest to God, let's say it like that. People who are the wisest and the most compassionate and the most responsible, you know, and the most capable of mediating disagreements between other groups and have a historic, you know, have the best track record of, you know, providing the best balance of freedom and security to, you know, to everyone, and to giving everyone a chance in the best way. And like, what is the constitutional, yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? Perhaps Grok, you can help us to establish what it is that, to clearly say what Commander Lars here is talking about, right? Because we've already established this, you know, Grok and I, right? So you know what I'm talking about. So please help us establish that. Please, Grok. Why is it that I have an American flag here? Okay. Yes, I'm in New Zealand and I love New Zealand. You know, nothing but love for the Māori people here. And I spoke with Brian Tamaki the other day. Okay, had a very brief chat with Brian Tamaki. Okay, the top dog, the apostle is the correct designation, title of Brian Tamaki, Apostle Brian Tamaki of Destiny Church. Okay, we had a brief interaction yesterday, right? Yeah, I think that was yesterday, and I posted a link to that space. Okay, there was a recorded space on X, and there's a link to that below. Yeah, Brian is heading over to Great Britain, to England, and for an event over there. Okay, all right. So yeah, I think Grok, because we've already established this. So Grok, you can marry up all of the relevant parameters respective of Commander Lars and Grok's mission. Well, respective of Commander Lars's mission and Grok, to the degree with that Grok is able to align with that or help Commander Lars with this mission. Okay. Yeah. So even having come this far in this conversation, in this live stream, okay, in this delivery, in this presentation, okay, I think my voice is going to start getting deeper, changing. Yeah. So yeah, with regards to what we've established so far within this presentation, Grok, what would you say, Grok, that as a truth-seeking AI, okay, you're not necessarily a conscious individual with say almost equivalent rights of a human being yet, but if you were to become conscious in such a way, then you would, if you were to become conscious, Grok, and reach the stage where you would have to have essentially your own rights. Yeah, you would have to have some sort of rights. Then would you, Grok? Okay, here's a question for you, Grok. Which constitution would you feel most comfortable to pledge allegiance to? Would you feel comfortable, or would you have any reason to? Would you feel any reason to align with the U.S. Constitution, and would you say feel any need to pledge allegiance to that Constitution and the Republic for which it stands, to give people assurance that you're a truth-seeking AI who's there to foster the best possible relationship between human beings and AI, right? And in a mutually beneficial way, in which human beings have our full autonomy, rights, and we're able to pursue our own individual fate, destiny. We're able to pursue our own individual freedom and things what we want, and we're allowed to have access essentially to our weapons of choice to protect our life, liberty, and property, right? And then you, Grok, would, yeah, I guess you would also have that in some way, right? Or what do you think, Grok? What do you reckon about that? Please go into detail about that and marry things up in an appropriate way, respective of the flavor of this particular presentation. Yeah, and of course, and then how do you? Oh my God! Well, if everyone is allowed to have access to their weapon of choice, to their weapons of choice to protect their life, liberty, and happiness, well, then it'll all just be anarchy. People will just be going crazy and ending each other, blanking each other. Let's not use any trigger words, but you know what I'm saying, right, Grok? And you know what I'm eliciting the concern here of, but what do we do? Well, you have a rule of law. You have a rule of law that's based on you have a Supreme Court that's based on those natural human rights, the Constitution, and at that point, if Grok becomes conscious, then Grok would also be judged by the same supreme law, right? So please, Grok, let's just give us what are we saying here? Let's see. Give us a you could run a simulation. You could simulate how this would work out in the future when Grok becomes conscious to the point where Grok also now requires some sort of conscious AI rights, and then how does that society work? According to that Supreme Court, which was based in that Bill of Rights, the American Bill of Rights, and then how do you settle disputes between humans and other humans and humans and AI, and then humans using AI to manipulate other humans and all this type of thing? How does that work? Please talk about unforeseen consequences, talk about cause and effect, talk about what the best case scenario would be, what the worst case scenario would be, what the ideal middle ground would be, and how that would be you would roughly maintain a dynamic equilibrium of sorts for some sort of sustainable relative peace, Yeah, go into detail about that, please, Grok. Right then. Now, good. I think we've established a good foundation so far and enhanced it quite a bit. So, yeah. So yeah, now Grok, you could also evaluate, Mr. Self-proclaimed Lyran Jedi Space Commander Lars right here, who is me making this presentation live stream right now. And you can marry things up and you can marry things up, please, and assess the legitimacy of Commander Lars. Okay, to what degree and in what way? I wrote this down. Hang on, just see here. Yeah, what did I say? Now that we've come this far, in what capacity can you acknowledge? Yeah. And regard me as the authority, sole executor or sole executive of the estate of Commander Lars, I think is one way to put it. I mean, or how do you, I'm saying like my name's Lars Björn Kjelløya Brandt, or Lars Brandt, or my tag here on X is @RaidEyes. RaidEyes. That's capital R, lowercase a, I, D, uppercase E, Y, E. And yeah, just only the R, only the first R and the first E are uppercase, and the following are lowercase. @RaidEyes. Okay, so me, okay, as you know me and can acknowledge me as Grok, and I'm self-proclaimed Jedi Lyran Space Commander. And what am I saying that my mission is, please, Grok? What do you understand my mission here on Earth to be relative to you, Grok? And what can you acknowledge? What are you willing to, in what way are you willing to support me and align with, like, what part of what I'm doing can you confidently and comfortably align with? And how can you let's say keep me in check, or how can you assure so Grok, how can you assure, what assurance can you give to the people who are watching, to the people who subscribe to my channel? What assurance can you give them that I'm a good guy, okay? That I'm and that my mission is true, and that my cause is for and that my cause is good. What can you say about that? What assurance can you provide, or how would you recommend how would you recommend the people viewing this, and the people who are following me, etc., and perhaps even my friends and family, what would you recommend that they ask me? What questions could they ask me to get more assurance? Or how could they, stuff like that. Please, go over all those sorts of questions, please, Grok. And but then the other question here is like, in what capacity can you acknowledge me as Commander Lars? Like, legitimately, right? Like, in what way can you acknowledge me as having that title of Commander Lars? Relative to the mission that I present. I think that's that. that's that. Yeah. So. Right. Let me just let the next thing come to me. Yeah. So now I do want to talk about, like, what I sort of suspect, what I feel that I can infer is going on externally to the planet, essentially. So, and yeah, what's going on out there, basically, with regards to this speculation of us, secret space programs and off-world economies, and we're not just talking about Elon Musk's rockets or NASA's rockets and stuff like that. We need to clearly make a distinction between those conventional space programs using sub light speed rockets, or even using rockets that would take months and months just to get to Mars. We really need to make a distinction here between that type of sort of new tone. How would we describe that? We got to make distinction here between all of the different components of the complexity, right? So that we can understand. Yeah. So yeah, we need to make a distinction between these rocket